Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Back in the 1990s, Scooby-Doo had a break from making new episodes of solving mysteries with the gang after a pup named Scooby-Doo. And yet, he was becoming more popular than ever thanks to the successful reruns that were airing on the new channel dedicated to animated programming, Cartoon Network. So in light of Scoob's newfound popularity later on in the decade, Warner Brothers wanted to jump in the direct-to-video market that Disney's been massively cashing in with their sequels. And since its release in 1998, it was the first to initiate a new legacy for Scooby-Doo of a long lineup of direct-to-video films. But even with such a large collection, Zombie Island still remains as the favorite amongst many fans of the franchise, calling it one of Scoob's best moments, and even got a sequel more than 2 decades later with Return to Zombie Island, which is kinda sad, to be honest, because now the Scooby-Doo direct-to-video films made it to the phase of trying to capitalize on nostalgia. Guess the gang ran out of celebrities to make features with. But now that we're heading down to New Orleans in one of the Mystery Gang's spookiest adventures, will this present one of Scooby's greatest mysteries? Or is this film cursed that forever haunted the rest of the franchise's direct-to-video films? Let's find out. The story. Instead of treating this like an extended episode of the show where the gang is just solving another of their usual mysteries, the story sets this up in a pretty clever way that, at the time, was the long-awaited comeback of Mystery Inc. and even tries to up its game. In a way, this is like a sequel to the Scooby-Doo series, where the team is reunited after spending some time in their separate ways in order to find a real supernatural mystery after unmasking so many fake ones for so long. But as luck would have it, they found a real haunted house in the bayou of New Orleans, and that's where the real mystery begins of what's causing all the actual haunts. As Scooby is often recognized as a franchise that's in the realm of scary without actually being scary, this movie marks as a special occasion where they are allowed to get a little freakier with their undead, and by the franchise standards, they can be pretty effective, like bringing out a feeling of, "Woo! That actually gave me a scare! Woo! Scooby ain't messing around anymore!" Basically, it leveled up its scare meter to fun-filled spoopiness to kinda creepy where now the danger is real, which does help a lot in order to make the action more engaging and intense where now the gang are actually confronted by the supernatural. As for the mystery itself, that can be a bit of a mixed bag. There is a part of it that is a weak point to the feature where the exposition and the execution is a little sloppy and too on the nose to the point that it almost feels like the characters have to talk down to the audience about what's happening.
Besides, it's probably just a hologram of some guy in a pirate suit.
Then why did it only show up on the tape? That's the mystery.
But there's always a logical explanation for these things.
But on the other hand, the mystery itself is fascinating and helps make the movie engaging and suspenseful, unraveling this mysterious island in the bayou of New Orleans once invaded by pirates and often inhabited by restless ghosts and zombies. Plus, it does stay true to being a Scooby-Doo mystery by implementing some humor from Shaggy and Scooby, where, while a little repetitive at times, the jokes are pretty funny and give a good balance to the scares. There is one thing, however, where it's a bit of the opposite of the plot, with the execution being cool, but the idea almost makes the entire film jump the shark, and that's regarding the big reveal of what's causing all the supernatural phenomenon. But that would be a major spoiler, so I'll save that for after the review. Just like how Shaggy and Scooby solve the case, while not the most ideal way of doing it, the story is a lot of fun to watch and does manage to successfully get the job done. The animation. After spending many years with Hanna-Barbera's signature limited animation, it's time for the gang to get a visual upgrade where now they look pretty good. Not great, but a decent improvement in the quality. One notable change in the animation is how there is a bit of an anime feel to it, especially in the style and the flow of the movements. Of course, Scooby-Doo always had a Japanese touch to the franchise's look thanks to the original character designer Iwao Takamoto, But for Zombie Island, the entire animation was produced in Japan by Mook Animation, resulting the film to pay more attention to detail than in the shows. This is the most prominent on the character designs, where they stay true to the original style, but also add more to further flesh out their look, along with a strong use of lighting to give the designs more depth and show more of a shape than just the flat colors they were given. But the design details truly shine the most with the monsters and the zombies, where the artists did not hold back to make them look as ghoulish and threatening as they can, not to mention some great animated moments when some transformations occur. Backgrounds are also nicely complex and fully show the hand-painted craftsmanship. While they don't present a full variety of environments, since they're mainly stuck in an island in the middle of the bayou, they do help out set the mood of the atmosphere. But then there's the character animation, and this is where it reminds us that this is still a direct-to-video film. As it is debatable that the budget was probably smaller than what was spent on the promotional campaign, it can happen when the movements still remain in that television quality area. It's still better than the original series, but not so different from the animated shows that were on at the time. However, whenever a chase scene occurs or when Shaggy and Scooby come face to face with a zombie, the animation gets a slight boost so that it can take center stage in order to have a moment of intensity and help the engagement to see how the gang will get themselves out of an entire zombie invasion. While it may not be top quality animation in general, it did set the bar higher by both Scooby-Doo standards and even direct-to-video standards at the time. The characters. The whole point of Zombie Island is to see the Mystery Gang get back together. But since they spent some time apart, that would mean the characters went through some changes, right? Well, not really, but it depends on who you ask. Sure, they still retain many of their original charm, but they're not further developed outside of their simple purpose. Shaggy and Scooby are the comic reliefs that are the most scared and hungriest of the bunch that do supply some cute humor, and Velma is the brains that is the most headstrong to solve the case. But as for Daphne and Fred, they're the ones who change the most, especially now that they have a new show to produce. Daphne is the host that wants to spice up her series by looking for real spirits, and Fred is the one-man crew that's the most doubtful that there are real ghosts and zombies around the area. At the same time, they also have a bit of a conflict with each other when they each got the hots for one of the locals in the area, like Fred having a thing for Lena, and Daphne having one for Bo, which is a nice addition to play a little more with the characters.
Yeah, he is suspicious, but he is kinda cute.
Well, if we're all through here, maybe we should get going?
As for the people in Moonscar Island, they all play a significant role in the mystery, like the unsuspecting culprits, the red herrings, and the helpers that lead them closer to the truth. These include Miss Lenoir, the cat-loving owner of the haunted house who lives with her assistant Lena, the bitter new gardener, Bo, the friendly ferryman, Jacques, and Snakebite Scruggs, the angry fisherman determined to catch a large catfish. While as characters, what they offer can be viewed as a bit simple, they also play a significant part in immersing the environment, each having a unique purpose on not just making the island supernatural, but also why they are there in the first place. Then again, those answers are mainly revealed in the end, and while some make sense, others, well, their explanations are a bit more unexpected. But even if these characters are pretty standard, the movie has the bare necessities. You got the old beloved characters back solving the case, and some new characters to make things interesting. And at the end of the day, that's basically all you need for a good mystery. In a way, some could say that this is what direct-to-video films should be. Not necessarily a masterpiece, but a nice complementary that helps expand the world and the characters we all know and love. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is an impressive feature to the point that it's almost surprising that it wasn't released on the big screen. While not groundbreaking as an animated feature, It did bring the franchise to a whole new level with an upgrade on the suspenseful storytelling, animation, and the scares, all while keeping the core elements like the characters that make Scooby-Doo so lovable over the years. This is an absolute must-watch for Scooby-Doo fans, but I also recommend checking this out if you're in the mood for something a little creepier with your cartoons, especially during the Halloween time. Sure, Scooby's direct-to-video films are definitely a lackluster collection, but at least it's safe to say that he started them out pretty strong. Hey guys, this is Animat, and I gotta say that when it comes to Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, it really was a blast from the past for me. Like, this really was something that I have not seen in decades, or just ages in general, where it's been such a long time since I've actually seen it on television or however, but I will say that it is actually quite a pleasant surprise to see it hold up. And considering that nowadays it did find a newfound popularity, especially amongst animation fans, where it kind of became a cult classic in itself, now I fully do understand why people do have fond memories with Zombie Island, because it's definitely one of the best things that Scooby-Doo has actually appeared in. Well, I mean, technically, this is not the only direct-to-video film that did end up with a cult following, because there is also The Witch's Ghost as well, because, well, let's be honest, I know that many of you watching do have a crush on the Hex Girls, admit it! But seriously, though, I will say that it really is a pleasant surprise to watch that it does hold up, and it actually does have a pretty effective creep factor. But anyways, I know that what you are all wondering, the big thing that I have saved up in all this is regarding my thoughts on the ending, because I did mention it as a big criticism in the review. I didn't spoil it in the review itself, but now it is time I'll go and explain it. And if you guys want to go and skip the spoilers, you don't want to hear it, and you want to go straight ahead to what's going to be the next review, then all you got to do is just skip to here. Alright, so with that said, what is it that I mentioned in terms of the ending? What is this big twist at the end that almost jumped the shark for the entire movie? Well, the thing is that apparently at the end of the film, the big surprise is that it's Miss Lenoir and Lena that are actually the bad guys in all this, and they are the ones who are causing all the supernatural phenomenon happening in the island. But that's not all, though. It is also revealed that apparently Lenoir and Lena are cat monsters. Yeah, for some reason that seems to be a new concept that they entirely introduced, that apparently like in the 18th century or something like that, like many years ago, there were pirates that were invading the island, and Lena and Lenoir were the only survivors, and they prayed to the cat gods about getting rid of the problem, and apparently the cat god did so by turning them into cat monsters with the curse of immortality. That seems to be the thing that they've introduced. Now, I will say this. The thing is with that ending in particular is that with the whole movie, I'm okay with them introducing new supernatural phenomenon. Like, I'm okay with them introducing ghosts and zombies and voodoo magic. Alright, that I can be cool with. And especially that it is in New Orleans, like, it does fit with the theme. Okay, I get that. But the cat monsters thing, that just seems like completely out of left field, mainly because there was nothing that was indicating that this would be the twist ending. There was nothing that would indicate that apparently the island was an area where they would go and have this like cat cult thing going on, and that they would go and praise to the cat gods and stuff like that. Like, that was just completely unexpected, with no hints of like where that would come from. Like, probably the biggest hint of any of that would be the fact that Miss Lenoir likes cats, and she keeps a bunch of cats around her. And literally, that's it. That seems to be the only clue about that. But other than that, it was just so random and so unexpected. This would be the equivalent of, like, if the whole twist turns out to be that Lena was behind all the supernatural phenomenon, and then she would immediately unmask herself, revealing that she's actually a carrot. I mean, it's unexpected. No one would ever, like, guess that. But it just seems random, and it kind of seems a little bit out of place in a sense. Now, to its credit though, it does deliver a pretty epic finale. Like, it is actually pretty cool to see Shaggy and Scooby trying to run away from, like, the cat monsters, and all while avoiding the zombies at the same time. It did serve an epic finale that did actually help, but this really is a case that if the movie really was not careful, then it would just ruin the entire foundation of the feature. So that was one thing that they should have been a little bit more careful with. I know that it did help out that it did show some pretty cool concepts and some pretty frightening elements as well, but other than that though, that's just one thing I wanted to bring up in terms of the criticism. It's just the whole cat monster thing just seems so random. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like it's just something that they should have worked a little bit better. Like, give us a little bit of a hint to show that, oh, this island has a history of a whole cat cult thing, instead of just saving all that towards the end, you know? It just feels a little bit, like, out of place, more so than it is, like, a good surprise. I think that's the best way to describe it. It was more of a bad surprise and an unexpectedly weird surprise, more so than it is, like, a good, well-built surprise. But anyways, now that we got that out of the way, it is now time that we are gonna go and move on to a Patreon request. And this time we got one from Ryan Walterson, so I would just like to go and start things off by saying that if you guys would like to be like Ryan and you want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards at the same time, including but not limited to watching my videos before anyone else, then all you gotta do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to go and request an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. So, with that said, what is it that Ryan went and requested me? Well, this is going to be it, folks. This, hopefully, if they don't make more, this is going to be the grand finale of all this. We only have one more movie to watch. One more movie to look at. One more movie to review. And is it any better or is it worse? Is it the worst among them? I don't know. But it's going to be time that we will have a conclusion to this and that we will find out on how this all ends. Get ready, folks, because now we are going to go and check out the grand finale of Elliot and Boog's Adventures.